Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. What happens when one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses walks into what should be a simple interview, only to be caught off guard by a host who seems determined to tear her down? Today we're diving into the intense and shocking exchange between Jennifer Lawrence and Joy Behar, an encounter that left the live audience speechless and had social media buzzing for weeks. It all began on a Tuesday morning when Jennifer Lawrence stopped by The View. She walked into the studio sporting her usual charm, beaming with a big smile and waving at the frenzy of the crowd while she walked over to the guest seat. She had been invited on the show to promote her new movie, a dark thriller that had already started making some serious Oscar talk. The crowd gave her a thunderous welcome with applause, clearly delighted to see the Oscar-winning actress for her talent and humble nature. But something didn't feel right. Although the majority of co-hosts warmly welcomed her, Joy Behar's vibe was quite different. Her smile looked strained, and as soon as Jennifer sat down, Joy's stare was intense, like she was measuring her up. The tension was palpable in the air. "So Jennifer," Joy started, her tone biting and to the point, "you're here hawking another film in which you're playing another tough female lead. Don't you feel you're starting to get typecast?" Jennifer was taken aback for a moment by the directness of the question, then composed herself. She replied graciously, stating she thought Hollywood could use more strong female characters, and she was proud to be involved in movies that portrayed women as complex and real. But Joy wasn't content. She crept forward a little and continued, "Isn't it providential that you continue to get these parts where you can be portrayed as some sort of feminist icon, when in fact you are just another attractive face who happened onto The Hunger Games?" The studio tension instantly became thicker. The other hosts crossed their eyes and Whoopi Goldberg gave Joy that look of disapproval. The audience became hushed, knowing something big was happening. Jennifer's smile flickered for a moment. She held her temper but answered with assertiveness. She told her work for herself, that she'd worked hard, put in long hours, and taken on physical challenges for the roles. "That's not luck," she said. "That's commitment." Joy rolled her eyes theatrically. "Oh, please, you tripped at the Oscars. You've made dubious political comments, and now here you are attempting to convince us that you're some sort of serious actress. Isn't it about time you owned that your heyday was a few years ago?" The whole studio fell silent. Even the camera crew seemed taken aback by the brazenness of Joy's words. Jennifer's easygoing attitude vanished. Her jaw involuntarily tightened, and she replied in an even voice, but with authority. "I apologize, but what do we have here?" she asked. "I did not come on this show to discuss my film and engage in an honest discussion with your audience about something I'm passionate about. I came here to be ambushed." And in an instant, the tone of the interview had changed entirely. What was supposed to be a standard promotional stop became one of the most buzzed-about moments ever on daytime TV. Whether Joy was just asking hard questions or trying to get a rise out of something, one thing was certain. Jennifer Lawrence was not going to be intimidated. Jennifer leaned forward, her face now taut, her tone unshaken. "Sounds to me like someone is allowing a personal vendetta blur their judgment." Joy gave a chilly laugh, the kind that fell short of her eyes. "Personal? Honey, I'm only speaking what others are afraid to say for fear of being canceled. You've been riding on this America's Sweetheart label for years. But some folks remember when you were another Kentucky hopeful trying to make it." Jennifer's eyes blazed. "There's nothing wrong with being from Kentucky," she snapped, her voice rising. "And there's nothing wrong with working hard to develop a career. What I don't get is why you're taking the time to tear apart another woman on national TV. Isn't that the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing?" The set became increasingly tense as the confrontation continued to build. Co-host Sarah Haynes made an attempt to cut in, but she couldn't get the discussion off Jennifer's movie. But Joy had more to say. She raised her hand, interrupting her fellow hosts, her eyes fixed on Jennifer. "Don't turn this into some women standing up for women moment," Joy snapped. "This is about taking someone to task. This is about holding accountable a person who's coasted through on looks and some well-crafted, relatable persona, rather than establishing she's actually a player in this industry." Jennifer jumped up suddenly, the scraping of her chair on the studio floor startling everyone into a silence. The camera operators rushed to reframe their shots as the tension became palpable. Her voice was strong and fierce. Listen, Joy, I've worked in this business long enough to know jealousy when I see it. I've worked with Oscar winners, visionary filmmakers, and actual journalists. And in all those years, I have never worked with anyone as deliberately mean-spirited and unprofessional as this. Joy's face darkened. Jealous? Of what, specifically? She mocked. Your ability to fall on red carpets? Or perhaps your knack for speaking incorrectly in every interview? Enlighten me. What precisely is there to be jealous about? Jennifer did not flinch. How about the fact that others want to work with me? She retorted, her voice now filling the room. How about the fact that when I enter a meeting, people pay attention? Or that I have established a career without sacrificing someone else to stay relevant? The crowd gasped in unison. Murmurs coursed through the studio as the real-time viewers attempted to make sense of the explosive, raw confrontation unfolding on stage. All eyes were fixed on stage. Joy's hands shook as she slammed the note cards on the table, making a loud thud throughout the set. Her face was flushed with rage. Are you going to just sit there and lecture me on professionalism? She growled. I've been in this business longer than you've been breathing, sweetheart. Jennifer didn't flinch. Then pretend to, she answered icily, because at the moment, you're not a journalist. You're a bitter talk show host making cheap shots for publicity. The co-hosts were aghast. Whoopi Goldberg leaned forward, attempting once again to defuse the situation. Ladies, perhaps we should all take a deep breath. No, Joy cut in sharply, pointing a finger in Whoopi's direction. I'm not backing down. Someone has to say what everyone's thinking. This girl walks around Hollywood like she's untouchable, like she's some genius-level actress. But in reality, she just got lucky. Right place, right time. Jennifer let out a short, bitter laugh. Lucky, she repeated, her tone laced with disbelief. Luck, Jennifer echoed, her tone stinging, her face looking astonished. Luck that got me through countless auditions for the Hunger Games? Luck that allowed me to slip into Katniss Everdeen's shoes in a way that resonated with millions worldwide? Luck that gave me an Oscar at the age of 22? Joy folded her arms, her voice heavy with sarcasm. I think, she said coolly, you just happened to fit into a costume and recite lines someone else wrote. Let's not act like you're Meryl Streep. The whole studio fell still. Audience members sat immobile, mesmerized by the train crash playing out in front of them. Off camera, cameramen frantically adjusted their shots, attempting to capture every damning second of what was turning into one of the most cringe-worthy interviews television had ever seen. Jennifer's eyes blazed with anger. Reading lines? She snapped. You want to discuss reading lines? Okay, let's discuss the fact that you sit here each day reading jokes that someone else has written for you, wasting your time taking swipes at people who are actually out there making something. How long has it been since you did something that took real talent, Joy? Joy jumped up so quickly her chair rolled backward, her face seething with anger. How dare you, she spat. I've been entertaining folks for decades and commenting on actual issues. I don't need some 20-something-year-old actress coming at me about talent. Jennifer did not back down. Her tone escalated to rival Joy's. Entertaining people? Is that what you call entertainment? Because from where I stand, this is a pathetic grasp at relevance at the expense of someone who has actually accomplished something with her life. The room was thick with tension. People in the background looked at one another, not sure if they should go to break or allow the pandemonium to ensue. The rest of the co-hosts were paralyzed, their damage control efforts long out the window. Joy's face went hot red, knuckles white as she gripped the edge of the table. Her words spat out harsh and rapid when she spoke. Accomplished? You want to discuss accomplishments? I've been on TV longer than you've been alive. I've interviewed presidents, world leaders, and Hollywood's biggest stars. I built a career that survived longer than most marriages. Jennifer's voice lowered and was steady, a tone that was even more searing. And yet here you are, she spoke slowly, leveraging all of that background to embarrass a guest on your own show. Is this what your legacy will be? The host who was so threatened by a young woman's success that she attempted to destroy her in front of a live audience? Joy's eyes slid into a narrow line. Threatened by you? Please, you have an idea what threatens me? mediocrity, self-righteous little girls who think they're entitled to the world just because they've acted in a couple of films. That did it. Jennifer's poise broke. Her voice caught with a raw, electric intensity that shook the room. A few movies? I've got 4 Academy Award nominations. I've won an Academy Award. I've worked with David O. Russell, Francis Lawrence, Adam McKay, some of the most admired directors in the industry. My films have made more than $6 billion globally. But please, Joy, remind me again how I'm some privileged little girl. A collective gasp swept through the audience. People in the front row leaned forward in their seats, fully caught in the gravity of the moment. No one dared move. Joy threw her hands into the air dramatically. There it is, she spat. The ego, the self-importance. You're standing there reciting your resume like it means anything. Newsflash, sweetheart. Box office numbers don't equal talent. Jennifer didn't flinch. Her tone turned ice cold. That's the very reason I'm not going to stand here and reel off every award, nomination, or rave review I've ever gotten, replied Jennifer firmly, though steadily now. Because at the end of the day, none of that amounts to a hill of beans if you don't have basic human decency, something you seem to know very little about. Joy stepped forward, voice dropping to a threatening whisper that, despite the best efforts, still rang clearly through the studio mics. Human decency? You want to lecture me on that? You're the one out there spouting off political opinions you have no business having, filling kids' heads with your half-baked, celebrity-driven opinions? Jennifer arched an eyebrow, her face growing stern. My political comments? You mean my right as an American citizen to comment on things that concern me? The same right you use on this show every day of the week? Or are you saying only talk show hosts can have opinions now? Joy narrowed her eyes and her tone grew sharper. I'm telling you that when you have a platform like yours, you must use it well. Not to prattle about things you don't know, just because you feel fame qualifies you as an authority. Jennifer gave a wry, humorless laugh. That's rich coming from someone who's made a career out of dispensing opinions on anything and everything. At least when I talk, I don't take cover behind a panel to lend credibility to my thoughts. The on-set tension had reached a boiling point. The rest of the co-hosts appeared shocked. Sarah Haynes glared at her lap. Whoopi shook her head in incredulity, and the guest co-host for the day appeared as though she would rather disappear into the ether. In the wings, producers scrambled frantically into headsets, dreading whether to cut to commercial or continue with this acrimonious exchange. Joy's voice rose in a virtual scream. You think you're so smart, don't you? Appearing on my show, attempting to make me appear to be the villain? Let me tell you something, little girl. I've worked with more Hollywood brats than I can remember, and I'm not going to let one more strut in here and talk down at me. Jennifer's voice was shaking now, but not with fear, with fury. Spoiled, she exclaimed, her voice trembling with tears. I had a middle-class upbringing in Kentucky. My parents worked their tails off to provide my brothers and me with an opportunity for a better life. I've never lost sight of where I started, and I've never taken one moment of my success for granted. But you sit up there in your ivory tower, making judgments about people you don't even know, labeling them spoiled because they've struggled and made it? That's really disgusting. The whole studio fell silent. The only thing you could hear was the soft purr of lights and air conditioning. Everyone was mesmerized, stuck in the raw, emotional turbulence unfolding before them. Joy forward slouched, poking her finger across the table at Jennifer, her face contorted in rage. Don't you dare give me your humble small-town girl routine. I've done it before. Dozens of actresses attempting to gain sympathy with their relatable backstories. It's all an act. Jennifer's eyes hardened perilously. You want to discuss phony? Let's discuss this act you're putting on right now. You're so needy for attention, so starved for viral views, that you'd sabotage your own show's integrity just to generate drama? Joy's voice rose to a high-pitched screech. My show's reputation? You have to be kidding me? The show has been on more than 20 years. We don't need some fly-by-night actress getting in here and giving us credibility. Jennifer stepped forward, closing the space between her and the panel, her voice rising to match the boiling intensity in the room. Flash in the pan, she said sharply. I've worked consistently for over 15 years. I've built a career that spans drama, comedy, independent films, and major blockbusters. I've done everything from low-budget indies to blockbuster epics, Jennifer stated, moving in closer, her voice firm but laced with passion. But you're so caught up in your own bitterness that you can't get beyond your own biases? The audience was totally engrossed now. Even with the rigid no-phone rule, some viewers quietly took out their phones to capture the incendiary moment. The atmosphere in the studio was charged and electric, with the sheer raw power of two powerful egos going head-to-head without restraint or censor. Joy pounded her hand on the table hard enough to send her coffee cup flying. Prejudices, she snarled. The only prejudice I have is for mediocrity passing itself off as genius. You really think because you can cry on demand, impose an address that you're some sort of artistic genius? Jennifer's voice fell to a whisper, but it was more threatening than previous shouting. I'm getting it now, she whispered. This isn't about my career or my politics or any of the other things you've been ranting on about. This is about you. Day after day, sitting behind that desk, watching younger, better people get things done that you were never able to get done. Those words landed on Joy like a physical punch. Her face went white, then flushed with a deeper red. How dare you, she spat, her voice shaking with anger. How dare you enter my home and attempt to psychoanalyze me as if you are some kind of amateur shrink? Jennifer gave a contemptuous laugh. Your home? This isn't your home, Joy. This is a TV studio, merely a building where you happen to work. And if this is how you treat house guests where you work, I can only imagine how you treat people in your own life. Joy sprang to her feet so violently that her chair crashed into the wall behind her. That's it. I don't have to sit here and listen to this disrespectful little brat tear me down on my own show. Disrespectful? Jennifer's voice grew louder. You began by saying, I'm a pretty face who got lucky. You spent the past 20 minutes attempting to embarrass me on national television, and now I'm being disrespectful because I'm finally standing up for myself? Whoopi Goldberg finally intervened, standing up between them. Ladies, let's calm down. This has gotten way out of hand. No exclamation mark, Joy snapped, wagging a finger at Whoopi but never letting her gaze leave Jennifer. Don't you dare defend her. She came on this program with an attitude, and now she's revealing what's really inside of her. Jennifer laughed, a laugh half amusement, half disbelief. My true colors? My true colors are to believe in giving people the respect until they give me a reason not to. Your true colors are bitterness and jealousy, getting your thrills tearing down someone better off than you. The studio audience was frozen in shock. Some had their mouths open, not able to believe the raw confrontation before their eyes. Camera operators worked double shifts, filming every angry exchange from every possible angle. Joy's voice cracked and intensified. You think a couple of movie jobs make you more successful than some person who's been a staple on American television for decades? You think your little award acceptance speeches and designer clothes mean anything in the real world? Jennifer's voice did not falter, controlled in the midst of the turmoil around her. I believe success is how you treat other people, not how long you've been on television. And by that standard, I believe you're failing miserably right now. Joy's stoicism finally broke totally when the tension came to a head. Failing? I'm the one failing. Joy's voice cracked, her composure finally shattering. You're the one who's about to be remembered as the spoiled little princess who couldn't handle a tough interview. You're the one walking out of here looking like an amateur. Jennifer slowly backed away from the panel, adjusting the material of her dress. You're right about one thing, you know. She spoke calmly but firmly. I'm leaving because I have too much self-respect to continue this circus. The words hung in the air like a bold challenge. Joy's eyes widened in disbelief, clearly not expecting Jennifer to actually follow through. You can't just leave, Joy said, her voice faltering. You're contracted to be here for the full segment. Jennifer smiled, but it was cold and calculating. Watch me. I'm here as a professional to publicize my film and engage in a civilized exchange with your audience. Instead, I've been personally attacked by an individual who obviously has issues to work through that have nothing to do with me." The other hosts rushed in to try to salvage the moment. Sarah Haynes stood up and begged, "Jennifer, don't leave. We can begin again. Discuss your movie. Have the conversation you were here for." Jennifer's expression softened as she met Sarah's gaze. "I appreciate that, Sarah. I really do. But I can't stay and act like this has been acceptable. I have too much respect for myself and for my fans to keep going on with the farce." Joy's desperation was no longer just an undercurrent. She recognized that the situation was careening out of control. "You're making a huge mistake," she cautioned, her voice breaking. "You're going to regret this." "The only thing I regret," Jennifer replied, turning to face Joy once again, "is wasting 30 minutes attempting to have a rational conversation with someone who obviously has no desire for reason or decency." The studio was left completely still. Some of the audience were visibly shaken, even tearful, caught up in the sheer emotion of what was meant to be a straightforward interview gone horribly wrong. Joy did one final frantic attempt at regaining control. "You think you can just storm off and make me look like the villain? Everyone will see this for what it truly is. Spoiled actress having a tantrum because she didn't receive softballs." Jennifer paused at the edge of the stage, then turned back with an expression of pure steel. "You know what, Joy? You're right. Everyone will see this for what it really is. They'll see a veteran host so threatened by a young woman's success that she tried to destroy her on national television. They'll see someone who forgot that her job is to entertain and inform, not to bully and humiliate." She paused, taking a deep breath, her voice strengthening with each word. "But most of all, they'll see what happens when a bully gets confronted by someone for the first time. They'll see that nobody can disrespect people just because they have a microphone and a platform." Joy's face drained of color. She slumped heavily into her chair, the fight completely gone from her eyes. "This isn't over," she whispered, but the conviction was gone. "You're absolutely right," Jennifer said, her voice ringing through the studio. "This isn't over because now everyone knows." "Exactly who you actually are, Joy Behar," Jennifer asserted as she stood before the shocked panel for the last time. "And they know who I am actually too. Someone who will not be bullied, someone who will not be pushed around, and someone who possesses enough self-respect to leave a bad situation." With that, Jennifer Lawrence walked and marched off the stage. Her heels echoed sharply on the studio floor, shattering the thick silence. The camera trailed her as she vanished through the backstage door, leaving behind a panel of stunned hosts and an audience that could hardly believe what it had just seen. Joy remained stunned in her seat, gaping at the vacant space where Jennifer had recently been standing. The reality of what had occurred was weighing heavily upon her. The other hosts looked around at one another in bewildered, confused glances, not sure how to react or what to say next. And that's all she wrote. The memorable confrontation that rivaled the gossip for weeks. What do you think of Jennifer Lawrence walking off? Did Joy Behar cross a line, or was she just doing her job as an interviewer? Leave your opinions in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more outrageous celebrity stories like this one.